Hello and welcome to Sincerely Elvis Presley. I'm Sean. Thanks for taking the time to tune in today. I really appreciate it. When I was thinking about what to talk about today, the answer literally dropped through my letterbox. Let me explain. Since I've started the channel, a fair few people have said in the comments they think I've got a pretty decent Elvis library, and I'm very proud of the Elvis library, if you like. And I want to talk a little bit about Elvis books and Elvis books in general. You'll see where I'm heading. So, as we know, during Elvis's lifetime, there weren't a great many books produced on him. But when he passed, those floodgates opened and there was a plethora of illustrated biographies hitting the market with quite regular frequency. And quite often, not many of those biographies were particularly accurate. You know, they were littered with quite a few errors. But, you know, I guess there wasn't, there just wasn't access to the archives, the documents, the information, the anecdotes, all the things that have, happened in the years ensuing that have led to some of the great books we have. And we have a huge variety of Elvis books available. We have like the academic biographies, if you like, the people like Peter Guralnick, Alana Nash. You've got the people that focus on specific aspects of Elvis's style or his music to inform biographies. Things like the fantastic Elvis the King of Fashion by Lorraine Gibson. You've got the detailed timelines of Elvis's life. You've got the books by people that knew him, the Memphis Mafia, relatives, all sorts of different people with associations to Elvis that wrote books. You've got books that specifically target the music, books that specifically target releases, discographies. Then you've got the fantastic FTD books that hone in on, say, one particular movie and enlarge upon that in great detail. You've got the photo journals that concentrate, some of them on just one Elvis concert or a series or a tour or whatever it might be. There's books for everyone, and a lot of those books are aimed specifically at Elvis fans, and so they kind of make it a point to get what they say right. That's not always the case. I pointed out when I talked about Steve Binder's 68 special book that there was a particular photo in there with a caption that was horrendously incorrect. So errors do slip in, but by and large, I think a lot of the real sort of, if you like, quality books, and I don't mean this in a sort of elitist sort of way, but the quality books tend to be written by people that know their subject matter, which is the basis that you'd really want, isn't it? People that know what they're talking about to write a book. But that's not always the case. These illustrated biographies, if you like, still crop up with regular frequency. And again, I don't want to sound elitist. Elvis collectors probably snap them up, but I would say in the main, your sort of generalist biography, and I refer to them as garden centre Elvis biographies. I know it's a bit disparaging, and maybe if you're outside of the UK, you might not understand what that reference is. But in the UK, if you go into a garden centre to buy plants or things for your garden, etc., etc., there'll often be a section selling books, and they're kind of mainstream mass market books on encyclopedias and whatever it might be. And that's the kind of book I'm talking about that's printed on Elvis. And I don't really think it's aimed at the fans, because what they offer doesn't tell you anything you haven't heard before. The pictures that they show are not pictures you haven't seen before. So I really think that kind of book is targeted at the mass market, the general public, and not really at the Elvis fans. And if you're an Elvis fan and you buy that kind of book, absolutely fine. Add to your collection, knock yourselves out. But for me, when I started rebuilding my collection a few years back, because I had a lot of those kind of general biographies that you'd get into discount bookshops and things before. And this time around, I've kind of avoided them. They've been around and I've seen them, but I thought, I don't really, even if I've seen them in second-hand shops, I don't really, need that. There's nothing it can tell me, really. It's and again, let me emphasize, I don't want to come across as elitist, but I've got a bit of a point to make. So a couple of weeks ago, I saw a book advertised on eBay, and it started out at about, I think it was about £15. Now, there were other listings for the same book at just short of £30 and another one at 55. And this one was there at 15, and then it dropped, and then it dropped, and it dropped. Anyway, it eventually dropped to £7.49 delivered, free delivery, in mint as new condition. Now, I knew the sort of book that I was going to be getting, but I was intrigued, actually. It was almost like a bit of an experiment on my part, because the listing showed some photographs of some of the representative pages, and I could see one particular photo caption that was glaringly wrong. And I thought to myself, I wonder just how wrong a book like that can get it. As I say, it was almost like a little experiment to myself. So anyway, the book in question arrived, and I've been quite shocked at just how inaccurate. And I'm talking about the captioning alone. So let's face it, when you get a book like that that's largely an illustrated biography, what's the first thing you do? The first thing you do isn't pick it up and start reading the text. You flick through and you have a look at the photographs, and you might notice the odd one where the caption, you think, that's not right. But you do, it's human nature. That's what we do. And the point about making this video is, if these kind of books are aimed at the general public, mass market publications, they're being given wrong information, and not just one error wrong, but a whole swathe of incorrect information. Now, you might say to yourself, well, does it really matter, Sean? In the scheme of things, really, first world problems, is that really an issue? Well, I think it is, because history matters. And you dissolve and dilute that truth over time. What gets repeated is the incorrect. And let's face it, we live in a world where there's all kind of fake stuff out there. What the internet's done in recent years, who knows what to believe. But history matters, and Elvis history matters. And we should get these things right. And I can forgive the odd error. But what I'm going to show you here, it just boggles the mind. Now, I know that there are at least half a dozen published Elvis authors that watch this channel. And I'd like to ask all of you a question about captions. One thing I'm not clear of. Does the author caption the photographs that's going in the book? I don't know if it's the author's responsibility or not. I mean, if they hand it over to somebody else to do, I think that's a bit risky, because they might not have the knowledge. But what happened with this one? Well, let me show you. Now, one thing that I need to point out is that, as dubious as publications like this are, they are nowhere near as bad as the AI-generated bilge that you will go and find on Amazon and the likes today. The 72-page. If you haven't watched it, I did a Halloween special on this AI-generated rubbish that seems to be out there. Just, get artificial intelligence to write a detailed 72-page biography of Elvis, put some horrendous AI-generated version of him on the cover and slap it out there. These are nowhere near as bad as that, and I need to emphasize that. And I also need to sort of talk to the publishers, Danan Books, and the authors of this, who are Michael O'Neill and Carolyn Thomas. I'm not targeting you directly. Please don't think that, and I'm sure you're not watching this anyway. But this isn't a go at you. This is a kind of observation on this type of book. I don't really know what purpose this serves. If you're gonna put the tried and tested story out to the general public, get it right. I mean, I don't know what the text of this is like. I'm just going on an observation of flicking through and looking at the pictures, and that's bad enough. If they're that wrong, I don't know what the text is like. But anyway, let me walk you through. Let's have a look at all the photographs what they say and how wrong they are. Now, you know, when you look at the actual layout of it, it's not bad. You've got various images and bits and pieces cut out to make this sort of collage of Elvis's first name. You've got your back cover like that. And actually, I really like the way that the inner pages look with all the various concert tickets. I think that's really striking and really well done. So it gets full marks for me from there. So the first thing I noticed was the contents page, and it starts. I think, oh, okay, they've basically titled each chapter after an Elvis song. Yeah, pretty clever. So you've got "You Don't Know Me," "I Think I'm Gonna Like It Here," "This Is Living," "Shake, Rattle and Roll." Yeah, not a bad idea. Get to page 46, "Your Cheating Heart," and then 56, "Uneasy Lies the Head That Wears a Crown." The one after that's called "All Roads Lead to Vegas," and then Elvis has left the building. So you kind of started calling your chapters after Elvis songs, but you gave up. And then you kind of finished with one that's "Forget Me Never," so you've gone back to that. Why? Could you not be consistent? But anyway, I digress. Right, let's have a look at these pictures. Right, the first picture. Elvis performs during his second appearance on The Ed Sullivan Show, New York, October 28th, 1956. Not a problem with that. Fine. What do we got here? 2-year-old Elvis Presley poses for a family portrait with his parents Vernon Presley and Gladys Presley in 1937 in Tupelo, Mississippi. Well, we know that was Elvis age 2, so 1937. Fair enough. Again, not a problem. This one, Elvis and parents outside of their home in Tupelo, Mississippi. That looks like they're outside of the 2-bedroom shack. So, fair enough. Now this one, Elvis Presley, hatted and shirtless. Not sure why it needed to point that out, but holds a stack of 45s of "That's Alright Mama," his first commercial recording. Now, I'm not sure about that one. I'm gonna let them off that one, because I know that was used on the Third Man "That's Alright Mama" cover. But it's always struck me as a bit strange. That's clearly Elvis at home. So why would he have a stack of his own singles? Why would they? Why? I mean, I don't understand why Sam Phillips would have given him a stack of. Maybe that's right. Let me know in the comments. But that strikes me as a little odd. Why would he have a stack of them? Yeah, sure, he might have one or two, but I don't know. I'm going to let that one ride. This one's accurate. Look, Elvis with guitar player Scotty Moore left, and bass player Bill Black on Louisiana Hayride, October the 16th, 1954. Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. Here it starts to go wrong. So, left to right, Elvis Presley, Bill Black, Scotty Moore, Sam Phillips in Sun Records studio. Fair enough. But then we've got Elvis Presley in 1955. Now, there's no way that's Elvis in 1955. Look at the way his hair's falling. Look at the. I'm going to put that 57. I think that's around "Loving You" time. It's not Elvis in 1955. That's for sure. But okay, you've got the date wrong. Here we go. Elvis Presley performs on stage with his backup singers, the Jordanaires, in 1955. Right. The Jordanaires didn't join Elvis until 1956, so that can't possibly be 1955. So, there's this one here. Look, Elvis Presley with his manager, Colonel Tom Parker, pose in front of a picture of the RCA Victor dog in circa 1957 in Memphis, Tennessee. Okay, well, the date of that particular photograph I haven't actually been able to verify, but I would personally put it at 56, not 57. But, you know, allowing for the date, Memphis, that's Colonel Tom Parker's office. And Tom Parker's office wasn't located in Memphis, Tennessee. And there's a theme in this book that you'll see in the next few pages. They seem to think that everything happened in Elvis's career in Memphis, Tennessee, like he never went anywhere else. And you'll see what I mean. Just the very next page, look. Presley portrait in 1956 in Memphis, Tennessee. Well, that is what's known as one of the Moss photos. And that was taken in April 1956 in Las Vegas when Elvis was performing at the New Frontier Hotel. It's not Memphis, Tennessee. Here we go again. Presley portrait in 1956 in Memphis, Tennessee. Well, that is one of the Love Me Tender publicity shots that was taken at the 20th Century Fox Studios in September 4th, 5th, 1956. And the 20th Century Fox Studios were not in Memphis, Tennessee. So again, they think that all roads lead to Memphis, it seems. Now, I might give them the benefit of the doubt and say, well, he's got the red velvet shirt on, so maybe they thought that was taken around his performance at the Tupelo, Mississippi Fairgrounds in September 56. But I think they'd need quite a lot of Elvis insight to make that leap. And from what we've seen so far, I don't think they did. So I just think they think everything happened in Memphis. A poster for Robert D. Webb's 1956 drama Love Me Tender, starring Elvis Presley. Yeah, fair enough. A couple of tickets there. Elvis Presley and Johnny Cash posed for a portrait in December of 1957. Guess where? Memphis, Tennessee. Now, if I'm very much mistaken, unless I'm very much mistaken, sorry, that was at the Grand Ole Opry. It was December 1957, but it wasn't Memphis, Tennessee, I don't think. So, you know, what have we got here? Elvis Presley on the set of Jailhouse Rock, directed by Richard Thorpe. Well, he's not on the set there, is he? That's a publicity photo, so he's not on the set. And they do the same thing over Leaf as well. Elvis Presley on the set of Jailhouse Rock, directed by Richard Thorpe. Same caption. He's not on the set. They're publicity photographs. Movie poster for Jailhouse Rock. Can't really get that one wrong. I'd say I like this. I like the layout of this book. I like the sort of masking tape that's holding all the pictures in. You know, I like the way it looks, but yeah. Elvis Presley clad in underwear as he stands on a set of scales while an army doctor measures his height at a pre-induction physical at Kennedy Veterans Hospital. Fair enough. Give him that one. Presley strolls around the grounds of his Graceland estate in circa 1957. That's not 1957, that's 1958 when he was on leave. You can tell by his hair. Elvis and Father Vernon discuss the illness of Elvis's mother outside a hospital room. Fair enough. Oh, this one's a good one. Presley poses for a portrait in circa 1960. That's a Kissing Cousins publicity shot, 1963. You can't get away with circa and then put an erroneous date that's that far out. And that's 3 years out. Elvis looked nothing like that in 1960, did he? I think they compound that by, on the next page, showing us what he looked like in 1960. There you go. Frank Sinatra welcomes back rock and roll star Elvis Presley after his stint in the US Army on his self-titled TV variety show on March the 26th, 1960. Valentine's card from 1960. Fair enough. Poster for GI Blues, various images from the film. Well, or, I mean, that's a publicity shot. I think that one's a publicity still. That is an image from the film, and actually it's quite grainy. See, they do get some things right. You've got a German poster for Blue Hawaii. Presley poses for the release of his film It Happened at the World's Fair in September 1962 at MGM Studios, California. And that's right. So they do get some things right, but not many. Presley and actresses promoting Girls, Girls, Girls. Poster for Girls, Girls, Girls. Fair enough. Priscilla with her dog Honey at Memphis International Airport, Memphis, Tennessee, 11th of January 1963. I believe that's correct. Now this is the one. This is the one I saw in the eBay listing. And, you know, I mean, look. There we go. That's Elvis recording the King Creole soundtrack, 1958. But the caption above left, Elvis Presley recording a movie soundtrack in a recording studio in circa 1964 in Los Angeles, California. I mean, wow. 6 years out of date. You can't, circa doesn't do it. I'm sorry, but, you know, poster for Viva Las Vegas. Fair enough, you couldn't really get that wrong, but wow. Oh, we've got another stinker here. Right, so let me try and, it's difficult to cover some of these up. So, a Billboard Classic 45 ad, fair enough. Now look at this photograph here. Let's see if I can keep that covered up. It's not easy, but I'll do my best. Right, clearly a 68 special shot. Yeah, the famed, where he's performing in the blue shirt that we've never really seen footage of, but 68 special. Obvious, yeah? Elvis Presley in movie stills. Stills. There's only one, because they've already captioned that other one. Anyway, Elvis Presley in movie stills, circa 1964. So, how wrong do you want to get it? It's not a movie still. It's not 1964. Pretty bad. Then they get this one right. Promoting the movie Clambake, directed by Arthur H. Nadell. So they get that right, because that is Clambake. It's weird. You get some things right and some things dramatically wrong. What have we got here? The wedding of Elvis Presley to Priscilla on May the 1st, 1967. Okay, so we get the date right. But only one of those is a wedding photograph. The other one is coming out of the hospital with Lisa Marie in February 1968. And yet you've only got one caption claiming that it's the wedding. So what's that then? Strange wedding. Elvis Presley performing on the Elvis Comeback TV special. It makes it sound as if that's what it was called. On June the 27th, 1968. I doubt very much whether either of those photographs are actually June the 27th. But they are June 1968, so we'll let them off. 1969, The Trouble with Girls British quad movie poster. Absolutely bang on. And you see, look, I do like the layout. You know, it looks fine, but now this one, this is a corker. Now, how am I going to do this? So, right, so look at the two photographs, yeah? Now, they're either, we know these really familiar. It's the press conference for the return to Vegas in '69, and if it's not at the press conference, it's just before it. He may have just been backstage or whatever, but we know where they are. We know what they are. Yeah. So the bottom caption says Elvis Presley during a press conference after his first performance at the International Hotel in Las Vegas, Nevada on August the 1st, 1969. International Hotel, yep. Press conference, yep. The top picture, which is the same date as we know and the same place, backstage on the opening night of his comeback engagement at the Caesars Palace Hotel in Las Vegas, 1970. How did anyone let that go? How did it get through? You know, anyone that didn't know about Elvis that picked this up might well think that he made his comeback in Caesar's Palace. It's ridiculous. Film poster for That's the Way It Is. Couldn't really get that one wrong. Dear. Okay, backstage in a concert venue, 1970. I always thought that was 1969, but yeah, we'll let them off that one. We won't let them off what's coming up though. So, okay. Poster for Elvis on tour, fair enough, can't really get that wrong. Elvis Presley performing live on stage at the Aloha from Hawaii concert wearing a white jumpsuit. I mean, they could have called it the Eagle jumpsuit, but that's just being picky. But fair enough, yeah? So, you got that picture. There's Elvis, Aloha from Hawaii, 1973. Although it doesn't even date it. But the next page, another Aloha shot. So surely you'd realise that was the same, yeah, no? Performing live on stage, 1975. I mean, Elvis Presley holds a press conference at the Las Vegas Hilton Hotel to announce his upcoming concert, Aloha from Hawaii. So they're making the connection to Aloha. They've got the date 73. They've shown him at Aloha and yet live on stage, 1975. I don't know. If it isn't the authors that caption the photographs that are going in their books, surely they must check them afterwards. Or are we saying actually that authors of books like this don't even know what it is they're looking at? I don't know, but as I said, I haven't read the text and I have no intention of, because if the captioning is representative, then I dread to think what stuff's in there. That was actually the last really erroneous caption. This one, clearly it's the sundial suit, so we're probably dating it as 77. Elvis Presley tosses a nylon scarf into the waiting hands of the fans at a concert in the Providence Civic Centre, Providence, Rhode Island. He did play Providence Civic Centre in Rhode Island in 77, so that may well be accurate. I'm not going to quibble with that one. Presley with his girlfriend Ginger Alden in March of 77 in Hawaii, correct. And then we get things like the horrendous photograph that was on the Sun newspaper in the UK the day after he died. And then the rest of the book kind of goes through 20 things you need to know about Elvis Presley. Well, there's a few things the authors need to know, or certainly the people that did the captions. But so the photographs from there on in don't get individual captions, so there's nothing to really pick up on, whichever way you like to put it. But as I said, I like the layout of the book. I like the way it's put together. But you've got 110 pages, and as you've seen, there's a litany of errors, an absolute litany of errors, and it does kind of make you wonder, who are these aimed at? Who are these books aimed at? I mean, this is 2019, so it wasn't even produced in the wake of the Baz Luhrmann movie to try and cash in on that. But it isn't for hardcore fans, is it? Because we know everything that's in here. Is it just to appeal to collectors? I don't know. I don't know the purpose of books like this, because if it's to, just be out there for the general public to pick up, how much of the general public, certainly when this came out, were picking up Elvis books casually? And if they were, and they didn't really know anything about Elvis, they're going to go away thinking that, the Aloha show he looked like that in 1975, that he made his Vegas comeback at the Caesars Palace Hotel, and that pretty much everything else in his career happened in Memphis. I just wanted to kind of highlight, it's like a sort of caveat emptor, buyer beware. If you go for this mainstream stuff, and there's no reason you shouldn't to add it to your collection, but what you're actually picking up is pretty worthless. I think this has absolutely no value. It tells you nothing you don't know, and it tells you a lot of things incorrectly, and that's just in the pictures. So, as I say, it turned into a bit of a rant, and I didn't actually intend that. Although, believe me, I mean, the Elvis Presley rant channel, I could quite easily do that, but don't worry, I'm not going to. But as I say, it came. I bought it as an experiment because I was curious. Unfortunately, it confirmed my worst fears when it came through the letterbox. But I just wanted to sort of share it and sort of, open it up to comment. What do you think? why are these things so bad, and what purpose do they serve? Or do you think I'm talking absolute guff and they do serve a purpose? And if so, what is that purpose? I'd love to know. But yeah, I just wanted to do something a little bit different. So, you know, coming out of the 60s series, you know, I felt exactly the same when I finished the 70s series. You know, it felt such a sort of long run making them that I kind of wanted to do something completely sort of open-ended, out there and different, and that's what I've tried to do today. So anyway, let me know what you think. You know, I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you sort of got something from it, whatever that might be. But yeah, I appreciate you watching, and I hope it serves some kind of purpose. As I say, these books are by nowhere near as bad as the AI generated rubbish that's out there on Amazon. So, you know, I'm not down on them because they're, well, are they? I was going to say because they're budget friendly. But when this came out, it was US dollars 24.95, GP pound, Great British pound, £20. I'm sure £20. I mean, I think I overpaid at £7.49. So yeah, I'm not. Yeah, I just, you know, there's better ways. There's better Elvis publications to add to your collection for that kind of money. You know, if you were to get that when it came out new. And yeah. Anyway, thanks for watching as ever. I hope it was in some way enjoyable, if just to see me rant and get exasperated. So I won't do another rant next time, I promise. I'll do something entirely different. So till then, you have yourselves a good week. Take care. Ta-da.
We'll meet you again. May God bless you. Adios.